mercy, look at how the time
And welcome
goes.
everybody to this episode of the Coming Home Podcast with John Allen. This is yet again a solo Saturday, and I am John Allen. How you guys doing out there? Okay, let's start this out properly. Stretch out, kick your legs out. Maybe you got a footrest in front of your chair in your living room. Maybe you're laying in bed. In that case, you're already stretched out. Just stretch yourself out, lean back, close your eyes, and relax. Let's relax. Let's chill out. Good Lord, there's a lot of tension in the air. I see it online. I see it on TV. I see it in Snoopy. Boy, she's been on the rampage the last couple of days. She says it's me, I say it's her, whatever. Tension in the air. Let's relax, people. The best thing you can do is relax. Nobody's thinking clearly when they're stressed. It's not possible to make, well, you can get lucky, but in general, you don't make good decisions when you're stressed. You don't make good decisions when you're upset, when you're all tense. So let's just chill out. I'm not going to talk about any social issues today. I'm going to try not to. I'm not going to talk about any of these political shenanigans that are going on. I'm going to try not to do that. These solo Saturday episodes are unscripted, so who knows what may fall into my heart and soul. Who knows? But I'm going to try and keep it positive. You know, what I like to do when I relax, when I'm chilling out, when I have my little moment for myself, I love to, there's a difference. I think there's a difference between making plans versus visualizing a concrete path forward towards whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. I like to visualize a concrete path. I like to create that path in my mind. You know where I got that from? There was a great series of books by the fantastic author Roger Zelazny. That guy was writing in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and I do believe he wrote one of the books in the Amber series in the 90s. Maybe two of them in the 90s, like 91 and 92, something like that. Roger Zelazny, check out the Amber series. What a fantastic book. But anyway, it's about this family. They have semi-supernatural powers, and one of the things they were able to do was to, as it's stated and described in the book, walking through shadow. In other words, there's the one true earth, and then just by walking or moving themselves, they can, and then visualizing a new reality, they can change the flora and fauna around them and actually walk into a different world of their own creation. So that's where I got that concept of visualizing a concrete path or a dirt path. A dirt path if you have bad shins. Don't want to walk on a concrete path. Wow. So that's where I got that concept from. If you don't like the world you're living in, if you don't like the circumstances around you, visualize a concrete path towards something new. And then once you visualize that concrete path, walk that path, and then change your circumstances. Because anybody can sit around and make plans. I think a lot of people do that. But how many people visualize what they want and then visualize a path towards what they want and then make it happen? So do that today. I don't know. I'm talking too much so you can't do it now. But after you listen to this, take another 10 minutes and just remain seated and think on life. Think on the things that you want, but you, for whatever reason, you haven't achieved. And it might not be things that you want, but it might be something that you'd like to do for others. Yeah, whatever it is, visualize it. Stop making plans. That's boring. Making plans, that's common. do the uncommon and visualize a concrete path and then move towards it. Get it done. So there's your unwanted 5 minutes of advice. I have to give a shout out to an old school friend, an old friend from high school, Diane Yvonne Zarlingo. Now, I knew her by a different last name in high school, but she's a great artist / photographer. She does wedding scenes. So check her out. Look her up on Facebook. I believe she has a business page on Facebook. Maybe she's on Twitter and all of those other places as well. But I think she has a business page on Facebook. That's Diane and then Yvonne, Yvon, Zarlingo, Zarlingo. Check her out. And Diane is Diane. I got an international crowd here, so I'm spelling it. It's not that I'm thinking people don't know how to spell Diane. It's just that there's different ways of spelling Diane. Anyway, check her out. The reason I'm giving her a shout out is because she motivated me to kind of expand on this podcast and put a little bit of a twist on it. So I'm going to work on this concept. I'm going to visualize a concrete path forward to this new aspect of my podcast. And it all came from a simple suggestion from Diane. So from one artist to another, thank you very much, Miss Diane. And good luck to you, by the way. These, a lot of people are being rather harshly affected by these corona times. There's people who still haven't been able to get their little mom and pop store or their own little business that they have, their little LLC or business that they haven't been able to get it started up still because of the corona situation. That's something to think about for photographers and whatnot. There's a lot of close contact with people. Depending on where you are in the world, the circumstances will dictate whether or not it is safe to have that kind of close contact with people. So, sending love to Diane and any other entrepreneurs who are out there trying to make it happen. Now, this entrepreneur has a couple of comedy shows coming up tomorrow, Saturday. 20th of... happy Juneteenth, by the way, people. I'll talk about that before I sign off here. Happy Juneteenth. But anyway, tomorrow, 20th of June at 8 p.m. or 2000 if you're in Norway. I will be slightly comedic, slightly musical at Cafe Mir, M-I-R, Cafe Mir in Oslo. 8 p.m. or 2000 if you're in Norway. Going into Oslo, people. Gonna throw some new material at the mic and see if it comes out okay. I, for one, am ready for some stand-up comedy. This will be my first time on the mic since, I believe it was the 10th of March. And yeah, and in fact, the 10th of March, I was at Cafe Mir then as well. That was an open mic night. So congratulate your boy here. This is a step above open mic. This is a booked show. So it's pretty cool. I will be there with the musical talents of a great and cool band called The Factory. And there will be a couple of actors and actresses who are going to do a little... I'm real curious about what they're going to do. And it escapes me. Let me see. I have to look that up. What is their... They're in a little acting company. And now I feel horrible that I can't remember what it is. Wow. Well, hey, it's unscripted, okay? So... give me a break. It's unscripted. Let's see. I'm looking through my Facebook. There is the event for... Nope, that's the wrong one. Let me see. Here we go. Undercover Theater Company. Miss Karen S. Haug, Mr. David Tan, or Tan, that would be in Norwegian. from the Undercover Theater Company. They will be there at Cafe Mir with me in Oslo, as well as Linda Longlegs will be performing, and Mr. Steinar Dultveit will be the MC for the evening. So there you go. I got that right. And then on the 25th, I know this is boring for you guys, but if I don't promote myself, who's going to do it? The 25th, Thursday, the 25th of June, stand-up show yet again. And this will be with the comedy club here in Drammen called Stand Up Drammen. And that show will be in the courtyard at the Union Comfort Hotel in Drammen, an outdoor gig. Oh, gosh, I hope they have some kind of overhang or some sort of tent roof or something. I will be boiling. There's something with that Norwegian sun. I'm not kidding you guys. It's brutal. I don't know, thinner ozone or something up here? I don't know. I'm not a scientist. But I do know that I get heat rash. Horrible heat rash every summer. The sun here in Norway is pretty brutal. You wouldn't think that, would you? Being way up in Scandinavia, up towards the North Pole and all that. But the ultraviolet rays or whatever it is from the sun is just brutal. I'm not a scientist, so we will use the technical term known as brutal. So there you go, a couple of shows. And again, this is my first time on the mic since March, so it's going to be very interesting. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going out on a limb. I have not all new. I have a lot of new. It's probably 95% new material that I'm going to do. So I'm going to have some fun with it. Yeah, I may flop. I've bombed a couple of times with new material, but that's just the way it is with new material. It's new, so I'm testing it. I'm going to see what works. Somebody told me, who was that? Maybe it was Bar Scott, great lady who I had on my podcast a couple episodes ago. I think it was her who told me that stand-up comedy is the most difficult of the performing arts that one could ever engage in. She might be right. I mean, performing new stand-up material is very different from performing new music. You know, the new music, you've rehearsed it. You have the comfort or the support rather of a band. If you play in a band, or even if you play by yourself, you've rehearsed it. You've heard yourself do it. If it stinks, you're not going to know it while you perform. I mean, nobody's going to start booing you. I mean, I guess that could happen, but most people are too polite for that. They're not going to boo you if the music is terrible. So you get through your set, that set of new music, you get through that. And then the feedback comes afterwards. But during the performance, it's by and large just another performance. And it might actually even be more fun for you because it's new. It's fresh, And then you go over to stand-up, and if your material stinks, if you have new material and it stinks, you know it immediately. You look out in the audience, and there's that one lady with the wrinkled forehead and literally throwing her hands up in the air like, what? That happened to me. that happened to me. When was that? I believe it was last summer here in Drammen. New material in a club. What was that? They have like an open culture night is what they call it. Yeah, culture night. So all of the music venues, all the clubs, all the pubs, everything is open, and there's all kinds of things you can experience culture-wise. Whether it's music or acting, theater. And stand-up. So these are people who kind of just wandered through the venue there. They may or may not be stand-up comedy fans, but they were there to check it out. So you could probably imagine that a good part of the crowd was not and I put this in air quotes, stand-up crowd. People who were there specifically for stand-up. So here I am, I'm buffaloing my way through some new material, and this lady sitting about halfway back in the crowd and right in the center, kind of like looked over at her girlfriend next to her, and she didn't say anything. If she would have said something, I would have heard it because the venue wasn't that big, but she looked at her friend and just, you know the look. Just imagine the look, the wrinkled forehead, the upper lip raises, and she's just like, she didn't say it, but it was like, what? So, but it didn't bother me that night. It was new material, and that's the way it goes. And then the other time that I bombed big time, it actually hurt my feelings because, here we go. Actually, my last time performing was not at Café Mir. My last time performing was the day after I performed at Café Mir in March. There was a show at the comedy club here in Drammen, and the new material that I performed at Café Mir, it just, I killed it. They loved it. Great response. I felt good about it. The day after, at the comedy club in Drammen, I do the exact, here I am, I cannot pronounce Drammen in English, Drammen in Norwegian. Yeah. So I was in Drammen the day after Café Mir, and Café Mir in Norwegian, whatever. So I'm in Drammen, and I performed the exact same material that I did the night before, but the material bombed. And that actually, I was hurt. It hurt my feelings. I actually called up the guy who is the driving force in the Drammen Comedy Club, Mr. Jon Jarde. There's a little plug for him because he's going to be a guest on my podcast here in a couple of days. I think that episode will be posted on Wednesday, the day before we have the show at Union Comfort Hotel here in Drammen. But I actually called up Jon Jarde after I bombed that night, boo-hooing. I wasn't crying, but I was very upset, and I had to ask his opinion. I never felt like I ever had to do that before, but I did that time. I asked him his opinion. He told me everything was okay, but I think he's just being a nice guy. I'm going to confront him on that. I want the truth. Did I stink, Jon Jarde, or was it really good? Was it a bad stand-up comic, or was it a bad crowd? I don't know. But I'm really looking forward to getting back on the mic and doing this stand-up thing. What a circumstance. I was on a roll. I was enjoying stand-up again. It was very therapeutic. As you guys know, my son passing away in November, the 5th of November, and I was using stand-up as a therapeutic treatment, if you will. What do I mean by that? Well, I was not in the mood to laugh. I was not in the mood to make anyone laugh, but I forced myself to get on the mic, to try and pull myself out of the depression, to try and find, I don't want to sound cliche-like, but to try and find meaning in my day-to-day life. I had to do something. I wasn't able to write music for some reason. That stopped totally. A cold, and it wasn't writer's block. It's just that I couldn't bring myself to write any music when I was so depressed after my son passed. But I was able to write comedy. Isn't that weird? It's very strange. I was able to write comedy. So some of that stuff that I wrote in the darkest days after my son died, I'll be trying for the first time tomorrow night there in Oslo. So this stand-up world that I fell into last year is just, I love it. I love it. It was totally by chance that I fell into it, but I'm glad I did. You guys have heard this story before. If you haven't, ask me. Oh yeah, by the way, if you guys want any kind of content or subjects to be taken up, or if you have any suggestions on guests, as far as guests that I could have in, send me an email. you can send me an email to podcast@johnallenpod.com. podcast@johnallenpod.com. You do that, drop me a line, and whatever you have in mind. Any comments, any feedback about the podcast, any guests that you'd like to hear, any subjects that you think should be taken up. I'll probably ignore that because it's all fly by night here as far as subject matter, especially on these solo Saturdays. But drop me a mail, and we'll see. We'll see what becomes. We'll see what comes of that, rather. You know, it's a weird thing. Of course, English is my first language, being a American, born and raised. But I've been in Norway now for 18 years, and it's so strange. Just out of the blue, maybe for a couple, 3 days, maybe for a week, I will have so much trouble expressing myself in English. You guys hear I'm stumbling on a couple of words and phrases and whatnot now, and it's just weird. Now I speak English at home. I speak English to our kids. I speak English with Snoopy, and Snoop answers me in English. The kids answer me in English, so I get my English. And yet, still, from time to time, it'll just be a few days in a row, maybe a week, where I just find it very difficult to speak English. Strange. I don't know what that is. I'm sure there's some kind of neuroscientist out there who could explain that, or some linguistics expert who could explain that. Yeah, I'll try and stumble through the rest of this podcast. Wow, 20 minutes. 20 minutes of me blabbing back and forth. What else was I going to talk about? No, I don't know, people. Just try and relax. Take a break. Take a break from social media. How about that? One of the, benefits, one of the results, some of the fallout from the media attention I've been getting, and the attention on my podcast that has exploded here in Norway and in the States as well. I've been interviewed by a couple of newspapers in the States. I'll throw out some links when that stuff comes up. But some of the fallout from that extra media attention is, people have been messaging me a lot on Facebook, and I've kind of posted some things to follow up on the media attention, and to follow up on my podcast and whatnot. So I've been on social media a little bit more than usual, especially Facebook. And while I'm getting a lot of people, a lot of white folks out there are, I tell you, y'all are just beautiful. I've been getting so much support, messages of support, people clicking in on some of the things I'm posting, people showing a lot of solidarity. And to me, it's heartwarming to see that white people are stepping up. They're being the good ally. They're listening, and that's important. Listen. And I said, by the way, I would not talk about politics. This is not a political issue. I stand fast on that statement. I've said it several times before. Talking about human rights, talking about doing away with systemic racism. Is it systemic racism or systematic racism? Yeah. But talking about those things, I don't think it has anything to do with politics. It should have nothing to do with left and right. It should have to do with right and wrong, and that's not political. Okay? But, so I've been on social media a lot more, and beautiful, beautiful support. It's fantastic. I made some new friends. And I'm talking about legitimate friends, people who have called me up, and we're making plans on meeting and collaborating on certain things. But then there's the other side, where I don't know, how can you make a post saying something like, I'm glad to see the diversity in this wave of support. It's not just black people this time. It's everybody. How can something like that be posted and people come on there to comment, and 9 out of 10 are fantastic supportive comments, but here comes that one guy. I tell you, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to hang him out there, but a guy I used to go to high school with came on, and it was really disappointing. But he's one of those guys who's like, there's no racism, you're an idiot, you're stupid. And he threw in a lot of swear words and all that. I'm not going to swear and say word for word what he said, but you're an idiot, there is no racism, you're a troublemaker, race baiter, this, that, and the other, so on and so on. And it's like, I don't know, it's disappointing, and it's beyond me how anyone could put themselves out there. How can they expose themselves in that way? Because all you're doing is looking like you're less than intelligent. All you're doing is looking like you are the least sympathetic person in the world. All you're doing is looking like you are like you need a couple more years. Maybe we should go back to high school, take you back to high school for a couple of years so you can learn a little bit about history. So I don't know. But fortunately, that's, 1 out of 10. But then when it becomes 10 out of 100 or 100 out of 1,000, it gets tiring. I'm tired, people. So that's why I say, let's just chill. Let's relax. I, for one, am taking a step back from social media. I have to be on. I have to post my podcast episodes. I'm no Joe Rogan, so I don't have a young Jamie assistant to do all my post-production and posting all my stuff. I have to do all that stuff myself so far. So I have to be on social media when I make those posts, but I'm going to make an effort to post and then get off. Maybe I'll take a peek and see how the posts are doing. By the way, and again, I'm going to promote myself, because if I don't, who is? If you want to support the Coming Home podcast with John Allen, you can do that a couple of different ways. Everybody all over the world, wherever you find yourself, you can send me some funds, $1, $1 kroner, 1 krugerrand, 1 peso, whatever, 1 yen. You can send that to me through PayPal on the following link. That's paypal.me/John Allen Pod. PayPal.me/JOHNALANPOD. If you're here in Norway, you can use the VIPS function. You guys know what that is, VIPS. If you're not in Norway, ignore this part. Go take a drink of water. Drink of water. You got to stay hydrated. It's hot out there. But if you're in Norway and you want to VIPS me, you can do that at 558784. Should I say those numbers in Norwegian? You guys know English numbers. 558784. VIPS. 558784. There you go. You non-Norwegians got to hear me speak Norwegian. Which I did, by the way, on Norwegian national TV. A lot of people commented my accent, or dialect, as you would call it. I speak with primarily the northern dialect up in Finnmark. That's what I learned first. There was a while where I was trying. I was effective at hiding that because what happened was we came to Norway. We went up to Finnmark right away. We were up there for a month or so, and then we came back down south. So I came down south with that accent, and people laughed at me because of it. I don't know why. I mean, that's what I learned. I mean, if you're a Norwegian and you move to Louisiana and you're right there in New Orleans and surrounded by a bunch of Cajuns, that's the kind of English you're going to speak. I couldn't imagine laughing at you, but they laughed at me. They did. But laugh all you want. I'm going to speak the way I speak. I think that northern dialect is beautiful. So that's the main dialect I've been speaking for, almost 18 years. Norwegian is a beautiful language, very sing-song like, and I love it. Well, am I done? I think I'm done. It's been a half hour. Now that was a solid half. Are you guys relaxed? Do you feel better now? Do that again. Do that with me. Now, I'm just screwing around, kind of. There's a little bit of seriousness in that, really. Take a deep breath and just chill, you know? You sat still now, probably sat still. You may have been out and about doing something while you're listening, but if you were sitting still, keep sitting for another 10 minutes when I sign off here. And think about what's going on in your life. Think about the changes you need to make, and then visualize a concrete path forward. Can you do that? Don't do it for me. Do it for yourself. See, when you do things like that, you, in a way, create challenges for yourself. You know, there's something you want to achieve. There's something you want to do. There's a goal you want to reach. And then you visualize that concrete path forward, and then you walk that path, and there's the work. Now you're working towards something. So it is a challenge, right? But out of that challenge, you can pull success, you can pull experience, you can pull knowledge, and that makes you a stronger and better person. And when you're a stronger and better person, not person, when you're a stronger, and see, there's that Norwegian, I can't speak English. When you're a stronger and better person, not only is that good for you, the individual, but it puts you in a position to where you are better equipped to help those around you, whether it's your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, kids, family, circle of friends, neighborhood, community. Yeah, you'll be in a better position, a more sturdy position to do some works of influence. So, there you go. This has been today's Solo Saturday subsection of the Coming Home Podcast with John Allen. Bye, everybody.
I'm coming home. I'm coming home.